today our group will present the introduction to project management.
So, what is project management? It is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques into a broad range of activities in order to meet the requirements of a particular project. An effective project management ensures proper expectations are set around what can be delivered, by when, and for how much. Without it, budget estimates and project delivery timelines will be off track. Furthermore, there are 5 phases in project management. Before we delve into phases of project management, let us first tackle things that are considered in a project. So first, what is a project? Project is defined as a sequence of tasks that must be completed to attain a certain outcome. It is a temporary endeavor which has a definite beginning and an end. It can range from simple to complex and can be managed by one or 100 of people. Additionally, a project description is always found in the process of a project management. It provides necessary details for the participants of the project. In a project description, there's always a goal or the specific output, and that output can have physical attributes such as a system, report, product, a school, or a course. It also has an intangible, like a process or an activity. Take a party concert as an example. Furthermore, project description includes the uniqueness of the output. The operation, which is the process that produces a recurring output, can also be described as a certain custom. And lastly, pieces are seen in this description of the project. Meanwhile, there is project scope, which is the definition of what the project is supposed to accomplish and the budget of both time and money that has been allotted to the project. It is also established in the project management. So now let us now go on to the 5 phases of project management. The first phase, or project initiation, usually begins with a business case. This is when you will research whether the project is feasible and if it should be undertaken. If feasibility testing needs to be done, this is the stage of the project in which that part will be completed. Next is phase 2, which is project planning. This phase is key to successful project management and focuses on developing a roadmap that everyone will follow. This phase typically begins with setting goals. 2 of the highly used methods in setting objectives are the SMART and CLEAR goals. SMART goals. This method helps ensure that the goals have been thoroughly vetted. It also provides a way to clearly understand the implications of the goal setting process. As for a specific, to set specific goals, answer the following questions: who, what, where, when, which, and why. The next one, M, for measurable, create criteria that you can use to measure the success of a goal. Next is attainable, is used to identify the most important goals and what it will take to achieve them. Following is R for realistic, so you should know or you should be willing and able to work toward a particular goal. And lastly, timely. Create a time frame to achieve the goal that you have. Clear goals. This is a newer method for setting goals that takes into consideration the environment of today's fast-paced businesses. First, C for collaborative. The goal should encourage employees to work together. Next, limited. The goal should be limited in scope and time to keep it manageable. Third, emotional. Goals should tap into the passion of employees and be something they can form an emotional connection to. This can optimize the quality of work. Next is appreciable. Break larger goals into smaller tasks that can be quickly achieved. Lastly, refinable. As new situations arise, be flexible and refine goals as needed.
Hi Hi guys, I'm Hannah Micaela C. Butardo from BSBA HRM 22D. Today, I'm going to present the scope statement up to the disadvantages of project implementation. After Ms. Custodio discussed the project management, first two phases, SMART and clear goals, now we are going to talk about the next phase. During this phase, the scope of the project is defined and a project management plan is developed. It involves identifying the cost, quality, available resources, and a realistic timetable. The project plans also includes establishing baselines or performance measures. These are generated using the scope, schedule, and the cost of a project. A baseline is essential to determine if a project is on track. At this time, roles and responsibilities are clearly defined, so everyone involved knows what they are accountable for. Here are some of the documents a project manager will create during this phase to ensure the project will stay on track. Scope Statement: a document that clearly defines the business need, benefits of the project, objectives, deliverables, and key milestones. A scope statement may change during the project, but it shouldn't be done without the approval of the project manager and the sponsor. Now, for a well-defined and organized work, there is what we call a Work Breakdown Schedule, or WBS. This is a visual representation that breaks down the scope of the project into manageable sections for the team. It defines and organizes the work required. It facilitates the quick development of a schedule by allocating effort estimates to specific sections of the WBS. It can be used to identify potential scope risks if it has a branch that is not well defined. Here are some examples of a WBS. Milestones: identify high-level goals that need to be met throughout the project and include them in the Gantt chart. It's important to keep all these important events in mind when you're planning a project because they could possibly impact your project schedule. In this example, the team's off-site strat-op meeting has been added to the project plan as a milestone, so work can be scheduled around it. Gantt chart: a visual timeline that you can use to plan out tasks and visualize your project timeline. A Gantt chart is a timeline of a project. The top of the chart shows the time frame and the left side of the chart lists the project activities. Each activity listed on the left-hand side of a Gantt chart has a colored bar next to it. The position and the length of the bar depends on the activity's timeline and duration, or when it starts and when it ends. Communication plan: this is of particular importance if your project involves outside stakeholders. Develop the proper messaging around the project and create a schedule of when to communicate with the team members based on deliverables and milestones. Now we head on to Risk Management Plan. Identify all foreseeable risks. Common risks include unrealistic time and cost estimates, customer review cycle, budget cuts, changing requirements, and lack of committed resources. With a risk management plan, you can prepare for the unexpected, minimizing risks and extra costs before they happen. By considering potential risks or events before they happen and having a risk management plan in place, you can save money and protect your organization's future. Next is project planning. Here are some checklists before starting the planning stage. Benefits and costs of the project have been clearly documented. The objectives and scope have been defined. Project team members have been appointed and a project office has been set up. Project scope. The scope statement outlines the result of the project will produce and the terms and conditions under which the team will perform the work. It includes justification, how and why the project came to be, the needs it addresses, the scope of work to be performed, and how it will affect and be affected by other related activities. A project scope statement typically includes a sentence that identifies why the project has been initiated. This gives overall direction to the project by emphasizing the final goal and its benefits to the sponsors and stakeholders. Project resources. The resource plan is a detailed assessment of the resources required to complete our project tasks. Project resources are what you depend on to get work done. They can differ depending on the type of project and departments involved. It includes type of resources or labor, equipment, and materials. Total quantities of each resource type. Roles, responsibilities, and skill sets of all human resources. Project finances. Project finance is the funding or financing of long-term infrastructure, industrial projects, and public service using a non-recourse or limited recourse financial structure. The financial plan estimates the amount of money required for each stage of project. It quantifies the cost of labor, equipment, and materials and defines an expense schedule, which enables project managers to analyze forecast versus actual spending throughout the project. Project schedule. The schedule identifies when each task must be completed and who is responsible for its completion. To be able to build a project schedule, it would help to first create a work breakdown structure, or WBS. WBS captures project tasks in a visual and organized manner. Project quality. The quality plan ensures that the quality expectations of stakeholders are clearly defined and can be reasonably achieved. Project quality includes the processes and activities that determine quality policies, objectives, and responsibilities so that the project will satisfy the needs for which it was undertaken. It defines what quality means in the context of the project. This is as crucial as a financial plan. Delivering results according to pre-agreed quality standards set by the stakeholders is a major indicator of project success. Project communications. A communication plan ensures that the team and the stakeholders understand how they will be informed of the progress of the project. Always remember, communication is essential throughout the project. All stakeholders and team members need to know any project updates, especially changes to the project plan. A communication plan simply specifies how communication within the project team and with the stakeholders will be done. Project procurement. The procurement plan identifies the elements of the project that will be acquired from external suppliers. It provides a detailed description of the product, goods and services to be procured from suppliers, the justification for procuring each product externally as composed to from within the business, and the schedule of procurement. The procurement plan not only identifies the product that will be procured from external sources, and also prescribes a procedure for the procurement itself. The Phase 3 or project implementation. This is the phase where deliverables are developed and completed. This often feels like the meat of the project since a lot is happening during this time, like status reports and meetings, development updates, and performance reports. A kick-off meeting usually marks the start of the project execution phase, where the teams involved are informed of their responsibilities. Tasks completed during the execution phase include develop team, assign resources, execute project management plans, procurement management if needed, PM directs and manages project execution, set up tracking systems, task assignments are executed, status meetings, update project schedule, modify project plans as needed. While the project monitoring phase has a different set of requirements, these two phases often occur simultaneously. Advantages. Implementation gives the opportunity to see the plans become a reality. Execution of projects allows end users to have access to better services and living environment. Success stories and experiences can be shared with specialists from other cities and towns, encouraging others to adopt similar approaches, which in turn may improve water resources management in the local area. Lastly are the disadvantages. Evidence of corrupt practices in procurement will undermine the entire process and waste precious resources. Poor financial planning can lead to budget constraints in the midst of implementation. The decision on when a project is complete often causes friction between implementers and the community. Completion for the implementer is quite straightforward. It is defined by contracts, drawings, and statutes. Communities have a more practical approach to completion. Once the project produces the benefits for which they agreed to undertake it, they see no reason to spend further time and money on it.
So hi guys, I am Catherine Faith Arcashao from BSBA HRM 22D, and I will be presenting starting from the objectives of the implementation phase up until the phase 4, which is also known as project performance or monitoring. So as we now go deeper with the understanding of the said phase 3, which tackles the topic of project implementation, now we will be discussing the 6 objectives of the implementation phase. The objectives of the implementation phase can be summarized as follows from the procedure. First is putting the action plan into operation, achieving tangible change and improvements, ensuring that new infrastructure, new institutions, and new resources are sustainable in every aspect, ensuring that any unforeseen conflicts that might arise during this stage are resolved, ensuring transparency about finances, and lastly, ensuring that potential benefits are not captured by elites at the expenses of poorer social groups. Ensuring a proper and successful implementation of a project management can always be tricky for organizations, mostly when it is handled without any restrictions. In order to always be secured on handling your business properly, here are some of the tips for implementing successful projects. First would be, field management staff must make time to establish an atmosphere of candor, or in other term, openness and trust. This tip could come in handy regarding with communications with partners, most especially in times of the process during implementation, so that concerns may be raised and may be immediately resolved. Second would be, look into realistic long-term planning of finances for the business. This one holds as the key to the implementation of the action plan. Third recommended tip by most would be, make use of the communication strategy. This will help to further strengthen the local ownership of the plan and encourage public participation in the implementation of projects. Try doing media campaigns. At the end of a planning and implementation cycle, a press release is useful to highlight successful stories and announce the publication of a final document such as a water report. And lastly, make visibility possible along the process and demonstrate tangible results early to build confidence in the process. Expectations among stakeholders and the general public are likely to be high following the participatory approach to the development of the preceding stages of the planning process. Let's now go to the definition of the project implementation. It is described as usually the longest stage of the project. This stage also typically consumes the most resources and energy of the project team. This is when the project plan is actually activated, deliverables are constructed, and project activities are done. Thus, implementing a project can be the longest stage in terms of time duration. Additionally, project implementation goes with the 3 major phases. This slide shows the 3 major phases that starts with putting plan into action as the first one, monitoring and controlling, and formulation evaluation. For the first major phase, which is putting plan into action, there needs to be some various steps in order of achieving it seamlessly. It needs to start with activation of the plan, building deliverables, which is also incorporated in 2 ways for the deliverable to be built and for the plan to be activated. 2 ways to build deliverables. First would be the waterfall way, wherein each activity is undertaken in sequence or until the deliverable is finished. Second would be the iterative way, recursion or repeated application of each by which deliverable is constructed until the deliverable requirements of the plan or the customer. When ensuring a high level of teamwork, it is important that the project team works together. Therefore, as project managers, we must ensure that all members are highly involved in the project activities through delegation, volunteerism, and decision making. Delegation allows one to work on the other important task and empowers others when they learn new set of skills. It is to delegate tasks to members who cannot be in all places at the same time. Effective delegation is important as you must entrust tasks properly. Volunteerism, on the other hand, provides opportunities for people to volunteer for certain tasks or roles, as this can help make participating in the project more meaningful for them. Lastly, decision making, as guidelines on decision making and levels of authority should also be made clear. After each of the topics discussed, let us now proceed to 9 kinds of management processes. These are time management, quality management, risk management, procurement management, communication management, cost management, change management, issue management, and lastly, acceptance management. So what does these kinds of management processes mean? Time management is the process within which time spent by staff doing project tasks is recorded against the project plan. This process allows the project manager to see if tasks are completed on time and to control time spent on each task. Quality management, on the other hand, is a process by which the quality of the outputs is assured and controlled for the project. It uses quality assurance and quality control techniques. Third would be the risk management. As there are changes, there may also be risk to the project. Risk management is the process by which this is formally identified, quantified, and managed during the project. When they are identified the soonest, the impact can be quantified and immediate action can be taken to prevent it from actually happening. Procurement management is a process by which the product is sourced from an external supplier. This process is implemented whenever the project requires purchasing from an external supplier. Communication management, on the other hand, communication is an important factor in managing a project. This kind of management process by which formal communication is identified, created, reviewed, and sent within a project. Proper communication of any development, change or reports should be sent to the organization and all stakeholders. Cost management formally identifies, approves, records all costs and payments made within the project. This controls the way costs are incurred by making sure that only approved expenses take place. Change management defines, evaluates, and approves any changes to the project plan, which includes deliverables, scope, timelines, or resources. This helps the project manager track changes as they occur and control the effect they have on the team and the project. Issue management, on the other hand, is done when there are issues that needs immediate attention, such as lack of funds, insufficient resources, or tight deadlines. This is the method by which issues currently affecting the ability of the project to produce the required deliverable are formally managed. Lastly would be the acceptance management. It is the process by which project outputs and other deliverables are presented to the project sponsor client for review and sign-off. Now that we're almost finished discussing the 3 major phases in project implementation, let us now proceed with the last major phase, which is formative evaluation. At the end of the implementation phase, the project should be evaluated to ensure the project has achieved its objectives as planned, and this can be performed in 2 ways of formative evaluation. First is the implementation evaluation. This evaluation assesses whether a project is being implemented as planned, such as delegation of the right members, task completion, adherence to schedule, budget, and many more. And second would be the progress evaluation. This evaluation assesses progress in meeting goals by comparing current results with set targets. The fourth phase in project implementation would be the project performance or monitoring. Project managers will use key performance indicators, or also known as KPIs, to determine if the project is on track. By then, PM will typically pick 2 to 5 of these KPIs to measure project performance. The said KPIs are project objectives, quality deliverables, effort and cost tracking, project performance, and adjusting schedules and resources. This is all about measuring project progression and performance and ensuring that everything happening aligns with the project management plan. This slide helps to give enlightenment in line with the definition of the said KPIs, starting with the project objectives. Measuring if a project is on schedule and budget is an indication if the project will meet stakeholders' objectives. Quality deliverables, on the other hand, this determines if specific task deliverables are being met. Effort and cost tracking. Project managers will account for the effort and cost of resources to see if the budget is on track. This type of tracking informs if a project will meet its completion date based on current performance. Project performance monitors changes in the project. It takes into consideration the amount and types of issues that arise and how quickly they are addressed. This can occur from the unforeseen hurdles and scope changes. Last would be the adjusting schedules and resources. During this time, project managers may need to adjust schedules and resources to ensure that the project is on track.
Good day everyone, my name is Angela Clea Castigañete and I will be presenting the Phase 5 of our topic, which is the project closure. I will also be presenting the conclusion of the 5 phases. The fifth and final phase of project management is the project closure and evaluation. Bringing a project to an end requires a different management style that focuses on details as well as analysis of the decisions that were made. The purpose of the evaluation and close phase is to provide a fixed point at which acceptance for the project products are confirmed and to recognize the project objectives had been achieved and that end user acceptance has taken place. A formal closure is more successful than a slow drift into use because formal use recognizes that the project has completed, the project team has been disbanded, cost can no longer be incurred by the project, and the operational team must now think the project has completed. The project team can be disbanded, cost can no longer be incurred by the project, and the operational regime must now take over. To ensure the successful closure of your project, you will need the evaluation and close checklist and the project closure report to assist. The key activities in project completion are gathering project records and disseminating information to formalize acceptance of the product, service, or project, and the performing project closure. As the project manager, you will need to review project documents to make certain they are up to date. Stakeholders and customers are interested in knowing if the product or service of the project meets the objectives, which is the project set out to accomplish. If your documentation is up to date, you will have the project results at hand to share with them. Once the project is complete, PM still have a few tasks to complete. Once the project is complete, they will need to create a project punch list of things that didn't get accomplished during the project and work with a team member to complete them. Perform a final project budget and prepare a final project report. Finally, they will need to collect all project documents and deliverables and store them in a single place. Next is the project evaluation. It provides the project team the opportunity to look back and share their thoughts on how the project went and give them suggestions. This evaluation may cover a variety of key items such as beneficiary impact, financial compliance, legal covenants, actual achievements versus planned objectives, and targets, utilizing a variety of methods, reports, and audits. Project closure has the following components. First is the administrative closure. Administrative closure refers to the ultimate completion and closure of the project. This is an important part of the integration management knowledge area that is achieved when all the work is verified, delivered, and accepted by the customer. All disputes are raised, finalized, and come to a closure. Next is the post-implementation meeting. Its purpose is to evaluate whether project objectives were met, to determine how effectively the project was run, to list lessons for the future, and to ensure that the organization gets the greatest possible benefits from the project. Next is the project report. Project reporting is essential to project management success since it provides a window into what is happening and what to do about it for the entire team. And lastly, the celebration. But before the project is formally closed, summative evaluation must be completed. A summative evaluation is a document that post-implementation review of project. This evaluation such as two projects' performance against the established objectives and follow the management process outlined in the planning phase. In conclusion, the five phases of project management is the first one, the project initiation phase, or a project is formally started, named, and defined at a broad level. The second one is the project planning phase. This includes the creation of a developed and comprehensive individual plan for cost, scope, duration, quality, communication, risk, and needed resources. The third one is the project execution phase. A project deliverable is developed and completed, adhering to a mapped out plan. The fourth one is the project monitoring and control phase. This one mostly deals with measuring the project performance and progression in accordance with the project plan. And lastly, the project closure phase. A project is formally closed. It includes a series of important tasks such as delivering the product, relieving resources, rewarding team members, and the formal termination of contractors in case they were employed on the project.